A woman with half a body, and this programme contains some strong language.
Rose Siggins is a rare kind of woman. Cars, trucks, V8 engines, and all things automotive are her great passion in life. She's had an oily wrench in her hands ever since she started playing in her dad's toolbox at the age of 3. Rose also only has half a body. But that's not stopping her from rebuilding a 1968 Mustang, which she plans to race.
Any barrier set in front of me is just an obstacle, and it's a challenge to me. It's a challenge for me to overcome it. People have asked me, how do you deal with your disability? How are you so strong? I mean, for me, you know, this is my reality. This is my normal. So for people to say, what's it, you know, do you ever miss not being normal? I don't miss it at all. I don't miss it because this is what I know. So for me to wake up in the morning and to know what it's like to hop out of bed and put your pants on one leg at a time, I have no concept of it. I mean, for me, you know, that would not be normal at all. If you take a Barbie doll and you take both of the legs of the Barbie doll and you snap them off, the region that is left is what I have. So I have all the female working organs. You know, everything works the same. The only reason that I'm kind of sit shorter, or I'm a lot compact, as people say, is because I'm missing like 4 sections of my spinal cord, which doesn't really give me the proper lift that I need. And a lot of it is just supported by muscle.
Rose may only have half a body, but is determined to live as a normal woman in her hometown of Pueblo, Colorado. And Rose has her own unique way of doing things.
The coolest thing that my parents did for me is when I turned 16, my parents actually went out and bought me a used car. They had no idea how I was going to drive it. Me and my dad, you know, we figured it out, and my dad fabricated a set of hand controls. The lever here works the brake and the acceleration. As I push forward, I depress the brake pedal, and as I pull back, I accelerate. This would work the same as, like, I guess, like flying a helicopter, because all your controls are at your hands. I was born with sacralogenesis, which is a rare genetic disease. I was born with legs. My legs were severely deformed. My legs were twisted. My feet were positioned in opposite directions, you know, crawling around the floor. I would constantly get my feet, you know, stuck on things. And it was a real concern because I had no feeling in my legs. So my mom really had to watch me in case, you know, I cut them, because I could bleed to death. I was about 2 years old, and my mom and dad went back to the hospital and started talking to the doctors about, you know, what should we do? Should we put her in a wheelchair? Or, you know, there was another possibility, was having my legs amputated. So when you look back on the tape...
See, you gotta kick him out the door.
Rose's mother had no formal education or medical training. Yet her insightful decision to have her child's legs amputated allowed Rose and her mentally handicapped brother to have a normal childhood.
You know, they weighed out the pros and the cons. The pros were, well, if we amputate her legs, she might be able to develop, you know, and use her upper body, her arms, and move around. And the negative part of it is what happens if she's just a complete freak show. How will this emotionally and mentally affect her for the rest of her life? So at 2 years old, they decided to go ahead and have my legs amputated. I feel my parents made the right choice. I could not imagine being confined to a wheelchair. I'm so glad that they allowed me to be me and who I am, and I'm able to be free. I'm able to go places, and I'm able to do everything everyone else can do. I just do it a little bit differently. So I'm so thankful that they made that choice.
When her family moved into the house next door, she came knocking on our door, and my mom opened the door and she didn't see anybody. So she shut the door, and Rosemary knocked on the door again, and she yelled, "Hey, I'm down here." So my mom saw, and Rosemary says, "I noticed you have 2 girls. Can I play with them?" And my mom introduced her to me, and since then we were just good friends. One of my favorite memories, her and I got an old tricycle and took the handlebars off and put a cushion there. And so she'd steer the tricycle with her chin and pedal with her hands. And we'd just go all around the neighborhood and play and go to the candy store and climb up in the trees and swing up on the bars of the porches. She was like a little monkey, and I was just always trailing behind her, just having a good time.
My mom and dad never used the word disabled. Handicapped, different, none of that. My definition of handicapped was growing up as someone who can't. I can. And they knew that. They knew what I was able to do. And with the proper support system that they put in place, I was able to do anything that I wanted to do.
For years, the administrators of the local school forced Rose to wear artificial legs. They wanted her to look like everyone else.
I think I was in about 8th grade. I finally made the decision, and my parents supported me with that decision of I don't want to pretend no more. I don't. I want to be me. I wanted to be normal. And my normal was Rose who walks on her hands who has no legs. And I rolled in on a skateboard, climbed up into my seat, and all the students sat and just stared at me. I was just proud sitting there. And my teacher walks in, and she asked me, "Rose, did we forget something?" "No, I did my homework." And I was ready to hand my homework in, and she said, "No, it looks like you're missing something." And after that, she asked if I would go to the principal's office with her. And I did go to the principal's office. And a few hours later, my parents showed up, and there was a big discussion on why Rose can't go to school without having her artificial legs. You know, I guess I had a problem with it 20 years ago about being normal. After I think they realized that I was being very bullheaded and I was not going to change my view, and my parents were on my side, I believe they gave in. Okay.
And Rose has led a normal life. In 1997, she met Dave Siggins.
It's cooler up here.
Dave, a 5'9" regular kind of guy, worked in an auto parts store. They flirted over the phone, and their relationship quickly blossomed.
Thank you, my dear.
But it was going to put Rose's life in danger. On Saturdays, Rose and Dave hit the Red Top Diner for the biggest burgers in town.
Hey, Rose and I met when Rose was working in an automotive garage and I was working in an auto parts store. She used to order parts from us all the time. We'd always joke back and forth over the phone, you know, just kind of poke fun at each other, joke back and forth between our delivery drivers. It was all just a lot of fun and games over the phone. And she came in to the store one day and on a skateboard, which I thought was the most wonderful thing in the world. So I just came over to ask her if she needed parts and stuff.
He actually dropped down, you know. I mean, he was kneeled on the floor, and he came down to me, and I thought, before one word came out of his mouth, I realized, wow, this guy's kind of cool. You know, I never really had people do that. You know, immediately I had an interest in him, you know, just because he was fun to talk to on the phone, and just, you know, in person he was cute. And it was just, you know, really nice when he asked me if I liked to go out and have a drink. So, you know, I was, okay. We wound up creating a very solid friendship. And I know for myself, I have to admit, I was more interested in him than just a friend. And I just kind of waited for him.
When we went to go to get married, I always told her at least she would never have to worry about getting cold feet since she didn't have any. So, you know, that was one thing she didn't have to worry about, as being the new bride.
Rose married Dave in 1999. It was her dream come true, a white wedding.
We actually went to a bridal shop, and I had this cute little top made and for me. And went and that morning had my hair done, me and my mom. It was nice. I had a little chair set up for me, so I went ahead and I sat in my chair. So, you know, Dave and I were not necessarily the same height, but it wasn't a lot of difference between us. And then that's when we got married.
Yeah, cake was bigger than you were.
Yeah, it was. That was interesting. I mean, I grew up like a tomboy, so it wasn't like I always had it pictured, you know, I'm going to get married to my Prince Charming who's going to come riding in on a horse, you know, and he's going to sweep me off my hands, and, you know, we're going to live in this, you know, this beautiful white house with a white picket fence, and we're going to have these 3 wonderful kids. I always pictured I would get married one day. I can't be that bad. Someone has to like me somewhere.
My personality has always been that I'm a leader more than a follower. I have an innate need to want to take charge, be in control. When we were first together, steering was a big problem, you know, so here I am wanting to be that alpha male and stand up, what you looking at, you know, can't you stare somewhere else? And after a while you realize that you don't have to be that big old macho male. You lose all of that when you see that here's a person that is completely different than everybody else. So now you sit there and you think about, well, I guess all those muscles, all of that, I'm male, hear me roar, just really isn't that important, you know.
When I get older and I'm unable to balance on a skateboard, will you put me in a shopping cart and push me? People do stare. I think kids and adults, they both kind of stare equally the same, just children are just more obvious at what they do.
I was talking to your husband.
Were you?
That's a wonderful thing. You have a husband to care for you. And he said, well, you care for him, and you just for each other. That's really great.
Well, thank you.
So the Lord bless you.
Thank you. I am so thankful that I have a normal husband who's taken it upon himself to care for one of the disabled ones.
Yeehaw! Flamin' fire! There was no criticism from my friends about who I was with or why I was with her. You expect that your friends would be saying, you know, hey, why are you with a girl with no legs? Couldn't you find something better? You know, I can't believe you're with her. There was really none of that. Just, you know, when I went to go introduce her to my mom, and she took me inside and says, how do you get over her difference? And I was like, you know, what difference? And she says the fact that she had no legs. And I was like, I really hadn't noticed, you know. But my mom seemed very overly concerned about it. In the terms of, you know, intimacy or anything like that, there's no difference there either, you know. It functions just the same as any other woman. You still have, you know, all the same issues that you would have, you know. Nothing's any different, yeah. I guess if you are a leg man, you're kind of out of luck because, you know, there ain't no legs to play with or check out. So thank God I'm not a leg man, so I don't have that problem.
My disability does not affect my sex life. I think it's normal. I think it's average. I mean, I don't go around asking everybody, how many times do you do it? But, you know, I think it's normal. I don't think he's ever said anything bad about it. Well, he's a smart guy, because, I mean, come on, you start being mean and being rude, then you don't get none. I think he mentioned one thing, the legs don't get in the way. So I'm going to take that as a positive and not a negative.
2 years into their relationship, Rose discovered something that would change her life forever. She was pregnant.
Well, the first few weeks of pregnancy, we couldn't really tell if the child's going to have a disability or not. And that was a big problem at first with Dave and I. And he said, okay, let's just think worst case scenario, okay? What happens if the child has no arms, no legs, and, you know, can't think for himself? Would you terminate? No, it is a living human being, and it's growing inside of me, and it's a part of me. And if that's what God wanted me to have and to deliver, I would. And I told Dave, stop and think about it. If my mom went and had an ultrasound done and the doctors looked and told her, well, it looks like your child's legs are not functioning properly and we don't know if she's going to have a normal life, I wouldn't be here today. I'm pregnant for the very first time, and I really thought I would have a lot more support than what I did. I visited one doctor, and the look on his face when he found out that I was pregnant was really upsetting. His look was more like, oh great, you know, someone like yourself, look what you got yourself into.
Rose's pregnancy was extraordinary and groundbreaking because no one suffering from sacral agenesis had ever given birth.
Majority of the time, I was treated as if I was some type of alien from another planet. And I think the one thing that I really missed out on was actually being a normal pregnant woman. I think that was the hardest time. You just feel that people are, you know, just looking at you like you're a person with a disability, and now you're going to have this thing. That's what it felt like. Hello.
The only doctor who didn't advise Rose to have an abortion was Dr. Wolfson.
Glad that you could do this.
Well, this is beyond extraordinary, because you've got to remember that what is this couple doing? This couple and this particular mother have committed themselves to a pregnancy, and she's basically laying her life on the line because nobody knows what this means. No one's lived this experience before. In the first counseling with Rose and with David, I was very specific and told them that they have to know as they move forward with this with me is that she could die. The principal risk that I saw to her was respiratory.
He said as the child would grow inside me and as the baby rotates, there was a possibility that the baby was going to go up. And if it went up, my lungs and everything else is very compact, and he could put pressure on my lungs, which, you know, at any moment I could stop breathing or have a very hard time in breathing.
The other concern is how she was going to tolerate a cesarean delivery. In Rose's case, because of the circumstances, and also because the baby was lying transversely, it meant that her uterus had to be opened across the top. A true classical 19th century cesarean delivery.
I was very emotional. I know they were, you know, getting ready to wheel me up to the operating room, and my mom was present. I remember looking at her, and I told her, you know, well, Mom, you know, if there's any type of complications in the pregnancy and you have to make a decision between my life and Luke's life, don't worry about me, take Luke. Just worry about the kid. That's all I wanted.
That cesarean in itself was a more difficult one to do. It's associated with a higher blood loss, potential risk for hemorrhage, potential risk for a hysterectomy. So this took an enormous amount of courage on their part and an enormous amount of faith to believe that this was all going to come together.
And the next thing was waking up, and I remember my stomach was very sore. It felt like I had just got socked in the stomach, and I remembered immediately I had a baby. And the first things out of my mouth was, where's my child? Where is he? Where is he? And they actually allowed me to go down to the neonatal unit where he was. And when they wheeled me in to see him, I remember he was laying there and he's just crying up a storm. And, you know, they handed him to me and I was holding him. And I remembered opening up the blanket on the bottom, and I remember looking at his little toes, and I remember counting them. And I remember counting all 10 of them, and I thought, he's complete. He's fine. We're going to be okay.
Well, I consider the pregnancy a miracle in its own right, because so many things seemed to happen that worked in the way to create a positive outcome.
He's something I thought I would never have, and I'm very proud of him. I want him to have everything that I never had or couldn't have. But he's very special to me. Okay, how about we just take a nap? I didn't think at one point in my life I was going to have children, especially have a normal child. 1, 2, 3, So I'm very proud of him because he is my miracle.
Overjoyed at having given birth to a miracle baby, Rose was about to experience a terrible tragedy. Luke was a healthy, growing boy, but his mother's happiness was to be short-lived. Luke had barely celebrated his second birthday when Rose's mother was diagnosed with terminal cancer. She held the family together, provided an emotional pillar, and organised the vital day-to-day running of the house. Her death had a disastrous effect on everyone around her.
You know, so when the doctor comes in and, you know, gets the family together and says, well, your mom's out of surgery, it doesn't look good, and we're going to give her about 3 months to live. You're taken aback because you're like, well, one, it wasn't supposed to happen to your mom because your mom's supposed to live forever, but I sat and I looked at my dad. I looked at my brother. And to see that my dad is just, I mean, he's already had the onset of Alzheimer's and dementia. So my dad, he gets lost a little bit, you know, and my brother, he didn't understand it. You know, you're sitting there in this room and your dad and your brother don't understand what's happening to your mom. It was just a shock because you don't realize how important this woman is to you, the things that she did. She's what held the family together. She's the one that kept us close. I never heard her complain. I never realized how much she did for everybody until she was gone. When she died, I'm not gonna, it was like a big void, you know, because, you know, this person who was there all your life is now gone. I mean, my support system was gone and someone who I always talked to. I knew at that moment that I had to step up. I was the next person in line to keep the family together. Everything that my mom did and how she handled things, it was going to be my job.
After her mother died, Rose moved back into the family home. As well as looking after her young son and husband, Rose now cares for her dad and brother. Rose's dad, James, has smoked all his life and now has to rely on a constant supply of oxygen. He is also suffering from schizophrenia and the onset of Alzheimer's.
You know, taking care of my dad, and taking care of my brother. And a lot of people are probably thinking, you know, how do you do it? You just do. By God, my mom didn't give up on me, and that's what she taught me, so I don't give up on them. I'm going to cook them a nice meal of spaghetti. If they don't like it, they're going to deal with it. My dad over the years is just, you know, I don't know, kind of slowed down in his cooking. So I think my dad was very happy when he realized that we were, you know, going to move over because, you know, now he gets the home-cooked meals like Mom made. And I know he's really missed that. After Mom died, it seemed like a lot of the love in the house had left. There was a lot of sadness and a lot of, I don't know, just really gray feeling in the house. And now with us being here, my dad has made comments of, it's really nice to hear a child's laughter again, you know, having Luke in the house. My brother, on the other hand, I think he enjoys it, but he doesn't deal with change very well. And I know he's still dealing with the death of Mom. And I know it bothers him a lot.
Good thing you have glasses.
You know, Jim's 29 years old, but he still needs direction in his life. He still needs someone to tell him, you know, Jim, you need to go take a bath. Jim, you need to go wash your clothes. Jim, you need to take out the trash. And now I'm doing that, and it doesn't come across that easy, you know, because now I'm more or less his boss, he thinks. Some of the family problems that we have put strain on our relationship. So, you know, it can become very stressful at times, because sometimes I wish I just had a normal family. I wish I had a dad who wasn't suffering from Alzheimer's or dementia or being schizophrenic. And sometimes I wish I had a brother that I can actually sit and talk to about the everyday things that happen in life. You know, and, you know, Dave tells me not to worry about it because, as he says, my family is more normal than the average family in America.
Jimmy is 29, but has the mental age of an 8-year-old. He is on psychotropic medication, needs regular supervision, and has occasional violent outbursts. Despite his mental health problems, Jimmy is holding down a cleaning job in the local taxi office. While everything is going well at work, Jimmy's erratic behavior at home is about to get him into trouble. Rose is overseeing the installation of a new V8 engine for the '68 Mustang she is rebuilding. When Rose is not indulging in her passion for cars, she's usually solving any number of family problems. Today, she has to fix her dad's Cadillac.
The reason I fixed my dad's Cadillac is my dad allowed my brother to drive the Cadillac. I just handed him the keys one day and told him, here you go, you can go ahead and just drive yourself to work. And my brother doesn't know how to drive, doesn't have a driver's license, and about 3 blocks away, he wound up taking the car over the curbing.
Jumped the curb, bruh. Yeah. Didn't even get to 7-Eleven. He almost shook up. I didn't know what it was on. For a while I thought maybe it was snow or maybe the tire got caught somewhere.
You know, a lot of people with disabilities feel that life owes them something, and I was raised in a way that no one owes you a dime. The world doesn't owe you anything. This is what you have, and you use your resources, you know, and you get through life. My personal opinion is, you know, get up and go for it. Just do it. Find the courage, find the strength from within. Don't sit there and whine and cry about how horrible your life is. Because, yeah, granted, life does suck at times, but you just need to pull it together. Be positive about yourself. Stop looking at all the negative. All right, ready? Go ahead and spray me.
Do you want a little bit more?
Yeah, do a little bit more.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, right in the face. Ah! Yeah, you did. Woo! There are more males in this house than females. I'm swimming
Testosterone rules.
in testosterone world. My poor little estrogen is just not making it.
We're man, hear us roar.
Rose's troubles are about to go further than a broken axle and a house full of men. Jimmy lives in the basement with his pets and is finding it hard to cope with the loss of his mother.
That's a hamster. After a little pack rat, anything they could be. Got four hamsters.
What's this one called?
I don't know what to call them anything. It's like a being Johnny Moo, anything, huh? Miss my mom a lot. Yeah.
How come?
Because she used to help me out. Everything was gone now. Because Mom passed away.
Rose is having increasing problems with Jimmy, and his outbursts have become more violent. Jimmy and Dave often don't see eye to eye, and now they've had a fight.
You and Dave had an argument? Yeah? About what?
About the money, huh?
Yeah.
Which
The check
way
came.
it goes,
I don't think it
huh?
was right that you took the check. You should have just gave the money to Dad. It was Dad's money, not my money, not your money. Right? We're trying to work as a family. We really are. And Dave's a part of the family.
After this, yes.
And whether you like him or you don't like him, we all have to learn how to live together. And we're having lots of problems doing that. Why do you always have the attitude? I mean, Dave tries very, very hard to be nice to you. He buys you things, and then you do stuff, and it really hurts his feelings. It's like Dave never threatens you, but you threaten him. And you threaten Dave all the time.
Call the cops. Hurry, get him in here.
I don't want the cops to come here. You're angry, and I don't know why you're so angry. What are you angry with?
Lost her. Lost a mom.
You think Luke likes seeing his uncle get all upset and start screaming and yelling, threatening his daddy? That's his daddy.
Yes, I know it is. If I go get the Sheriff Mary right in here and drain something out.
I'm just saying that you have to think that your actions do hurt other people.
Hey, fuck this family.
Where are you going, Jim? I think the real part of Jim being so angry and frustrated is because of Mom dying. He hasn't dealt with the death. You know, he hasn't gone through all of the emotions. We have to remember that his mentality isn't 29 years old. He physically may look like it, but he's not. You know, he's dealing with it as a child does. All I can do now is sit and wait for him to come back and, you know, just give him a chance to cool off a little bit. Are you girl crazy?
No.
Yes, look at you.
Rose is not the only one affected by family problems. Dave is feeling the strain.
No, buddy, what happened to Elizabeth?
6 years into their marriage, he often feels left out, as Rose now devotes her emotional energy to Luke and the rest of the
I
family.
don't know.
Rose is not a very compassionate, very touchy-feely person. She is to the underdog, to the weak, to Luke, but she's never been that as far as, you know, let's hold hands, let's be rubby body, huggy, kissy. She's just never been that type of a person. And what little there was is diminished greatly due to there being so much on the plate.
You know, he does sometimes complain about, you know, not getting as much attention as everyone else does. Because before it was just, you know, him and Luke, and now he has to share me with my dad, and he has to share me with my brother, and, you know, he realizes that a lot of the times he doesn't come first anymore. And, you know, sometimes I just take it for granted that, you know, Dave's okay and he really doesn't need me that much, but in reality, you know, he still does.
Here you are feeling all romantic and feeling all, you know, got the hormones a-going, and the wife's just like, you know, I'm tired, I'm cranky, I've been dealing with stuff all day long. You know, yeah, anybody'd like to have tons of romance in that, but come on. We all know as guys, the romance is to get them there and to get them hooked, and once we get them hooked, I don't know what it is about us, but we forget the flowers, we forget the opening the doors and pulling out the chairs, so maybe if I go more back to that, I might help some of the romance side.
Today is Rose and Dave's wedding anniversary. At the hairdresser's, Rose is going for a new look.
Luke said it looked like a rooster tail.
I know what it's supposed to be.
Very good. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Rose. Thank you very much. Come again, okay?
Okay.
Have fun tonight.
Thanks. Bye.
You will.
And to up the romance side of things, Dave is taking Rose out for dinner to the smartest joint on the strip.
I'm a cheeseburger type of girl. Not really into salads. I'm doing good though.
Here we go. A little flour for the lady.
I'm not a very, like, a romantic type of girl where I like a lot of flowers and candy type things. So he usually buys me things that I use, like, say, I love working on cars. So if he sees this really cute little tool set, he'll go ahead and pick them up for me. So just gifts that I really like, and it just means to me that he really knows me. So each year we're together, I love you more and more and more. Look how handsome.
Millions of Americans witnessed Dave proposing to Rose on a nationwide TV show.
Does that have something else for you? It's wonderful and really great. So, what's my calendar? Would you marry me?
Being proposed on national TV caught me by surprise.
Oh my God.
You shoved it on there, all right.
Oh yeah, I did. And I was kind of just waiting around for him to pop the question. I didn't think he was going to pop the question on the Maury Povich show. But I have to say, it was really nice to be able to share my proposal with all of America.
Rose and the family are enjoying an all-American day out at the fair, where Rose keeps a watchful eye on Luke and Jimmy. Rose's story, as a woman who has overcome bewildering obstacles and succeeded despite seemingly impossible odds, is a real-life example of the American dream. However, away from the limelight and behind a determined self-assurance, there is another side to Rose. With the usual day-to-day problems and the added stress of Jimmy's erratic behavior, Rose finds the crowds and people staring at her difficult to handle. Feeling like a freak on display, she decides to leave. A rare day when Rose failed to cope and family tensions are about to get worse.
We had a situation with Jim. Jim had tried to attack me, and Dave, being my husband and being my protector, stood up in front and told Jim to back off, get away from my wife, and Jim turns around and hits Dave in the head with a lock. Jim leaves, takes off, calls the police. Social services is involved now because Jim says that he's being abused by Dave.
Because I'm the leader and because I'm the disciplinarian, I guess we could call it, is that I do that innate testosterone male thing, you know. And when you start yelling and screaming at me and threatening me, I'm not going to back down. And when that happened and he did become aggressive, all I did was come right at him and go toe-to-toe, face-to-face. And I'm sure he felt threatened too. And he's feeling, oh my God, he's going to beat me up. And his first initial reaction, boom, you know, there went the chain. I didn't even see it coming. And it was like, oh my God, you know, and then you're standing there and then you're going, oh.
Okay, these are the medicine I take. Yes, the one's for depression. See, take 2 of them to control the brain. Relax the brain or something. That helps me not to get anger on someone. If I don't take them, I could die.
Okay, Jimmy?
What?
How you been?
Real good.
Okay.
Following Jimmy's outbursts, social services are paying the family a visit. Rose and Dave feel Jimmy needs to learn to be more independent.
Your family here, I've talked to them a great deal, and they feel that it's a good idea that in the future you live alone. That's our mission, to make people with handicaps more self-independent, right? Okay, so that's what we're going to do for you.
Jimmy, it's a good
Jim,
thing,
do you-
buddy.
Yeah.
Do you understand
Yeah.
that no one's asking you to leave?
No.
No, we
Okay?
don't want you to
no,
leave.
No one's asking
no.
you to leave,
You don't
okay?
have to
And
go nowhere because we need an uncle to make the family work.
There you go.
we just want you to be an adult. That's what your dad would want for you, and that's what your sister would want for you. Doesn't mean that you got to go away forever. They just want you to kind of have your own place, so you don't got to worry about no one telling you what to do. No one
Listen
telling
to
you.
your radio as loud as you want, well, as long as you don't disturb the neighbors, though.
I know this
feels,
is a lot, Jim.
he feels that each time that you're here that, like you told me earlier, I have to move, and that's why I discussed
Oh,
with
you
him
ain't going
earlier.
nowhere.
we don't
You're a part of this family. You're always going to be
Yeah.
a part of this family. You know.
Yeah, Jimmy, we don't want you to move. So if Jimmy wants to stay here, we're going to do everything to make your life here good. Okay? That's my promise, Jimmy. Jimmy, I don't want you to be sad, okay? We're here for Jimmy.
Rose's disability has a bearing on everything she does, but she is adamant it won't affect Luke's childhood.
I felt that once Luke would start school, he would be criticized and picked on because of who his mom is. Luke had no choice. He didn't get to pick his mom out and say, yeah, I want that one there who has no legs. I want her to be my mom. And he doesn't realize that, you know, life can be cruel.
You don't have to take a practice with you. You want to whack away, whack away. There we go, Blake, go!
I don't want him to be in this team and be picked last because his mommy has no legs, or she looks freaky, or, you know, some crazy thing. You know, children are children, and children will be cruel at times. And I want to, you know, protect him from it. Hi, everybody. My name's Rose, and I'm Luke's mom. Well, what I wanted to talk to you guys about was my disability. When I was really, really little, I was sick. And I had sacroiligenesis. And to make me better, the doctors decided that they were going to amputate my legs. Does anybody know what amputate means? Okay, amputate means that to make me better, the doctors decided that they were going to do a surgery. And the surgery they were going to perform was going to take my legs away. So I'm kind of a normal mom, just a little bit shorter than everybody else.
How do you actually walk?
How do I walk? Well, just kind of like you guys with legs, I just one arm in front of the other, and I just move myself along, just like that. And a lot of people say that when they watch me move around, they say it's kind of like a monkey kind of moving around, you know, because I kind of climb up on stuff.
1, 2, 3, booyah!
I'm skating circles around everybody.
Once Luke had an interest in hockey, I came down here to the ice arena, and I wasn't able to be that mobile. Kind of like Luke's idea, because he said, well, gee, Mommy, you use wheels on your skateboard. Why can't you just put skates on your skateboard? So I took one of my old skateboards, started drilling holes and bolting them up, and it actually worked pretty good. Wow! I taught him how to skate, and he wanted to learn how to skate like a hockey player, so that's what I taught him. You do whatever you can for your kid. Sometimes I wish that I was able-bodied. You know, I mean, right now in Luke's life and where we're at, it works okay, but for instance, you take hockey, and yes, I taught him how to skate. Yes, we can do things on the ice, but he's outgrown me.
Rose has spent the past 30 years walking on her hands. The strain has impacted her arms, shoulders and joints, and Rose is literally falling apart. Having successfully struggled against her disability, Rose now faces a future in a wheelchair.
Arms are not meant like legs. Legs are constructed in a manner that is able to withstand, you know, years of walking and doing that. And now, just years later, I'm learning that, you know, your arms were not meant to do this and be put through all of this. And that's all I've ever used is my arms. My arms are my life source. I rely upon them. Just give them a good old push. You know, probably going to have to be placed in a wheelchair, and I'm very frightened of it. I really love feeling around me. I love feeling the rough asphalt. I love feeling the smooth concrete. I love feeling the grass when it's hot or when it's cold or when it's wet. I love feeling the dirt. I love feeling the rocks, the pebbles, the sand, the gravel. I really can relate to people who don't like to wear shoes and socks and love to walk around being barefoot.
At last, after weeks of hard graft, Rose feels the Mustang is just about ready to hit the racetrack. To compete with these souped-up muscle cars, Rose has to reach speeds in excess of 150 miles per hour on this quarter-mile track.
I need you to roll your window up.
Okay.
And have fun.
Thanks. This car really needs a lot of more TLC. I don't even think we hit 40. Most women, they're trying to fit into what society says is perfect. But what is the perfect person? I mean, does anybody really know? Well, you know, typically what we've decided is, you know, the 5'8", the 105 pounds little Barbie doll, pictured as a woman. That's the perfect person. And I didn't get caught up in that. It doesn't matter what you look like, it's what you are inside. It's all about the inner self, and it's the inner beauty. And that's what I had to learn when I was very young, was, you know, maybe I won't be accepted and be beautiful on the outside, but the one thing I can do is I can be beautiful on the inside. I'm a one of a kind, one in a million, and they'll never forget me.
Since making this film, Rose has told us she's expecting another baby.
And our Extraordinary People series continues next week with the story of 3 pairs of conjoined twins and the different approaches to the condition taken by those affected. Joined at the Head is next Monday night at 9.